Welcome to the ArmenianKitchen.com. I'm Doug Kalajian. Today we're making Kufteh, which is Armenian stuffed meatballs. And here's the brilliant thing about Armenian stuffed meatballs. They're stuffed with meat. There are many variations to this dish. Different names throughout the Near and Middle East, but also even among Armenians there are many variations in the recipe and in the shape. Some Armenians prefer to make it in the, what we Americans call the football shape because it looks sort of like an American football. Some Armenians make it round like a baseball. Some put it in a tray. They call it sine kufteh. And it's just layered meat, layered filling, and then more layered meat on top of it. We're making the kufteh the way my mother made it, the dikanagertsi kufteh, which is, we call it the shape of a flying saucer, and you're going to see why when I'm finished. Now here's the twist. We're making heart-healthy kufteh. And if that sounds like a contradiction, it is, but we're going to do it anyway. Instead of using the traditional ground lamb or ground beef, we're using ground turkey for both the stuffing and the shell. We're using the leanest ground turkey we could find for the stuffing, 97% lean. It has very, very little fat. We're using 93% lean turkey for the shell because it has to have a little bit of fat in it or you won't be able to mold it properly. There are two components to kufteh. One is the shell, the other is the stuffing. We call it the michug. The shell is simply ground meat, very finely ground meat. You grind it 2 or 3 times. Also bulgur, fine bulgur, number 1 bulgur if you can find it, and seasonings. The stuffing is more meat, parsley, onions, pine nuts, and seasonings. I wanted you to see the stuffing. I made this a day ahead of time so that it would set and become much easier to work with. Traditionally, this is made with butter, but because we're trying to be healthy, we've made this with olive oil. So it's not quite as solid as it would be traditionally, but I'm going to work with it anyway. Now the key to making kufteh is to work quickly and to work with cold hands. So in order to help me with that, I have a bowl of ice water standing by. And by the way, the reason Robin is not making this, even though she's the executive chef at the ArmenianKitchen.com, is her grandmother told her when she was young, your hands are too warm, and she was dismissed from kufteh making. It's a great shame in our family, but we bear up with it. Now I should mention that I added a little bit of olive oil and a beaten egg to the shell mixture so that it would be a little easier to work with. And of course, you'll get the entire recipe at www.thearmeniankitchen.com. So to begin, I put my hands into the ice water just to make sure they're nice and cold and wet. And I'm going to scoop up some of the shell mixture, just enough to fit comfortably in the palm of my hand. And there's really no trick to it. This just takes practice. You cup your hand and use the thumb of the other hand to make a hole, a depression in the meat. And you keep pressing outward with your fingers until it takes the shape of a shell. And you want to get this as thin as you possibly can. That is the trick. People who are good at this can make this so thin, it's almost like paper. I'm not that good, but I'm good enough. So I can make this pretty thin, and I must say the turkey is easy to work with. And so if you see, I have a shell now in my hand, and if it breaks apart, you just fix it. You just take another piece of meat and patch it in there. Then you take a spoon, and just about a heaping tablespoon of filling should do it. You put it right in the center of the shell. You don't have to be precise. And you fold over top of the shell. Maybe wet your hands again, keep them cold, and work the meat so that it closes. And again, if there's a little hole, you can just take some more of the shell mixture, patch it over, and continue to work it. And that's all there is to it. And now you understand what I meant by the flying saucer shape. As you can see, it's flat on the bottom and domed on the top. And that's the way it's going to cook. So ideally, you will take the completed kufteh, put it in the refrigerator for maybe an hour, let it get nice and firm, and then you cook it. Now, some people like to bake it. We like to boil it. That's the way it's done traditionally in our family, whatever you prefer. If you boil it, be very careful when you put it into the boiling water because it can break apart. So slide it in very gently, and really, when the kufteh rises, sort of like ravioli, it's done. We like to give it a few extra seconds just to be very sure. Remember, the stuffing is already cooked. The shell is very thin, so this is not going to take very long. Served traditionally with a little yogurt, or a lot of yogurt if you prefer. And I'm just going to cut into this for you so that you see what it looks like inside. You see the shell, the stuffing, fantastic. Again, the recipe is at www.thearmeniankitchen.com. Thank you.